I've said this before. Your salary is not an asset, it's potential capital. And capital is what gives you the power to create assets. So, for example, when I receive my salary, I don't just rush to spend it. Instead, I invest it in productive assets like stocks, as we're talking now, like crypto, or even my personal business. So let's say, for example, let's say I earn 100,000 naira, and instead of spending it all, I might just, invest 70,000 into buying stocks or growing my business. So with time, that investment brings in profits. Maybe let's say it brings in.
Hello, welcome to the Nigerian Investors Podcast, the unofficial podcast that tracks and reports on the activities of the Nigerian boss. My name is Moody, and with my colleague Aye, we will be hosting this podcast. TNI Podcast is dedicated to stimulating a renewed enthusiasm among the general population with regard to the activities of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Ultimately, the goal of TNI is to see that many Nigerians from all walks of life, both at home and in the diasporas, become active participants on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Before we go further, we would like to place on record TNI Podcast is solely for educational purposes and not a replacement for professional financial advice. Let's begin. Welcome back to another episode of the Nigerian Investor Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to have with us a man who embodies practical wisdom and financial discipline, Prince Evans Shinoso. He's a speaker, entrepreneur, and investor, inspiring many through his platform, VH Hub. Prince Evans, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Modi. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
You're very much welcome. Prince Evans, can you share how your journey into investing and financial education began?
Okay. Um, yeah, my journey, it all started in school. First of all, my name is Prince Evans Chinonso Ibwanugo. Um, I'm, I'm from Anambra State, and I was born and brought up in Lagos State. So I schooled in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, where I did my ND in accounting. Thereafter, I went to Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, aka Anambra State University. So that was where I earned my BSc in banking and finance. So from a younger age, I have always had this strong interest in business, entrepreneurship, and being, smart with money. You understand? So
Yes.
I have always liked this idea of making money work for me. So everything started during my university days while I was studying banking and finance. So
Okay.
in my 100 level, we had an induction program. You know, this orientation program you have when you get to school and your 100 level, they try to introduce you to everything. So
Yes.
we're having this induction program where a guest speaker came to talk to us about entrepreneurship. So he shared his journey about starting a fish farm, and how he became very successful with it. So at that point, the story inspired me so much to the extent that I got home and I was thinking of, how to start up something
Yeah.
because I always like, starting a business on my own. I feel like there's something in me, more than, settle down and working for someone else. I feel like I could do more. Do you get me?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Okay. So when I got home that day, I decided to start a poultry farm. um I already had a love for animals and was, raising chicken for personal use. So I thought to myself, okay, why not make it commercial since you know how to do this thing very well? Why don't you start from here and you start making money from here, as you can raise chicken well? So what I did was that I went ahead and I started with 60 beds at my backyard for the Christmas season. So I was in
Okay.
school while I was doing this. So I just went back home. Then I employed my siblings to look after it. So as they were
Okay.
taking care of it, they were remitting to me in school. After that period, the business went very successful. We sold all the beds, and I was thinking, after the whole successful sales of the chicken, what will I do with the money with me? I was having a lot of money in my hands. So I was thinking if I should hold this money and it's idle, I will just spend it on something else. So I could remember I was praying, and I had it clear in my spirit. Why don't you go and, get a bike for hire purchase? So, yeah, why don't you get a bike and give it out for hire purchase instead of going for chicken again in Easter? Because you have to be very careful. When you get this money and you don't really do something good with it, it just leaves as quick as possible. So it came to my spirit to do that, and I took it upon me to get that. So, but let me mention this here that most of my business and investment idea have always come as a leading from God.
Okay.
Some people would call it intuition, their intuition leading them. But personally, I see it as God leading me and guiding me. So I bought this bike. I bought it for 200,000 naira, and I gave it out on a higher purchase for 350,000 naira. So, and after the whole thing, it all went well. I was very surprised how everything went well. I could get my 350,000 naira. And even before the deal was completed, while I was in school, I already had noticed another problem I could solve in school. So for me, it was all about discovering problems and then solving them. It was all about looking for problem and how I could bring solution to it. So I came to understand that money flows to people who offers value and solve real problem. So after graduating from school, then I now read this book. I really wanted, to establish something substantial. So when I graduated from school, I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if you're familiar with that book.
Yes, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the book I read, and that book really, really transformed my life. That book really opened my eyes to how money works and how the idea of investment is in the real life. So it helped me to understand what to focus on if I would want to build wealth. So in the book, Robert Kiyosaki explained the four quadrants. That's the cash flow quadrant. He talked about the employee, the self-employed, the business owners, and then the investor. So what I did was that I just focused on the business owners and the side of the investors. So that was when I began investing and allowing my money to work for me. That was how I started my whole journey into investment. So I just started with cryptocurrency, and then I moved to forex trading, and then later I moved into stock. So right now I'm just basically focused on crypto and stocks as my preferred investment areas.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
And it's really exhilarating.
Yeah.
Finding out that you started during your university days, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I like the entrepreneurial aspect of of your of your journey because you started with rearing chicken, you sold them and you made profit, and you delve into higher purchase Okada. That's really an entrepreneur. You're looking
Yes,
at
yes.
problems that you can solve, and
Yes,
yeah.
and then, get something out of it. So,
Yeah, that's good. That's great because many people don't really have these ideas. The way we are programmed, I feel like we all are programmed by the government. I have nothing against the government of any
yeah,
country, but
yeah,
we're all programmed to, when we're born, go to school, follow a particular discipline. They discipline you in a
exactly.
particular profession. Then when you come out,
Exactly.
you start working and you earn
And then,
money till
yes.
you retire and you die. What a sad and boring life.
That's the way the educational system has programmed it. So
Yes.
when I
So
when I got to school, like I said to myself, like I would give school like let me say I'll give school like 60% of my time, and then the remaining 40% will be getting what I need to do, because I know when I come out from this school, like I really want to start up something on my own. So
yes.
I did I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
follow the system.
okay. Now, You described yourself as a speaker, leader, and investor. Which of these roles came first, and how do they complement each other?
Okay. I believe my journey started first with leadership. So, being the firstborn in my family, I'm the
Mm.
firstborn.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are a family of seven. We are seven in number. I'm the first child, and I naturally, as the firstborn, you naturally, take on the responsibility, the role of the leader from a
Yes.
younger age. So that sense of responsibility continued in the university, where I became the departmental president of banking and finance. Then later on, after my years in school, during my youth service, I was also chosen as the platoon leader. So during all my years, I have realized that the role of real leadership has always been a thing for me. Even when I'm not desiring it, it comes to me. I don't know what attracts it to me, but I realize that I find myself in a position where I get to lead people and to influence them to be a better version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that during those times, I had the opportunity to speak to people and to lead them in large numbers and sometimes in thousands. So through those experiences, I learned the meaning of leadership. I understood that leadership is not about being in charge, but about serving others. So it's about thinking less of yourself and helping others discover, their potential through your services. So for me, it was leadership that came first, before speaking, and then thereafter investment. So, how do I complement all these things together? I believe that people truly strive when all areas of their lives are balanced. So, speaking for me has always been a powerful tool I use in communicating my intention. It allows me to express my idea clearly, whether I am leading people or making an investment decision. So leadership, speaking, and investment all work together in my life. Each of them supporting each other. So leadership was the first thing
Okay,
before
thank you
speaking.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the blend, the way they, yeah, for a machine to work very well, all the parts they have to come together and
Yes,
they work in harmony, and that's how
exactly.
progress is achieved. Yeah. So you often stress patience and grit in building success. How do you cultivate these traits, especially in challenging markets?
So how do I often stress patience and grit in building success? For me, first of all, I would like to explain the term, what patience and grit means to me. I don't know how it is for others, but for me, I see patience as the ability to wait with a positive mindset, expecting things to work out in the end. Why grit, on the other hand, I see grit as the ability to stay committed to your goals every day in, day out, regardless of the challenges, you go through. You stay through to it until it becomes a reality. As I relate to it in terms of market challenges, in my investment journey, I have faced times when my portfolio, for example, my crypto portfolio, like I said, I ventured into crypto, then, stocks. So there are some times I'm faced with some downtime. My portfolio would drop to about 40 to 50%. So in those moments like that, you would feel discouraged. You would want to, sell everything off. You will feel like stopping, you don't want to go any further. You just feel like dropping it. So, but those times, what I do is that I keep on going with my conviction. See, I don't invest into a company until I have my conviction. So my conviction in those assets I have invested, it gives me the courage and the strength to stay calm during those tough moments. So during those process, I develop the grit and then the patience to stay true because of my conviction in and understanding in the asset I have invested in. I don't invest based on price. I invest based on the vision of the company. So if I believe in the company's mission and direction, I stay patient and hold on no matter what the market says. So that's how I build patience and grit through conviction, long term thinking, and staying focused on the bigger picture of the. of the company.
So you don't invest based on price. That's interesting because we've had some people here that came on this podcast for interview, and so far we've
Okay.
been learning a lot from them. The last person that came in was also a value investor. That was the last episode we released from Mr. Tokwe. He
Okay.
shared a lot
Okay.
on value investing, which I think resonated with so many people. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So most times I'm guilty of this. When I want to buy a company stock, I might probably have done my own research, look at their
Mm.
financials, and when it's time to buy, I look at the price and I would say, "Oh, this price is too much. I don't think I need to invest." So, yeah, it's too much.
Exactly.
I can't get enough units at this price, and most times it limits your progress as an investor because if you
Exactly.
had gone in very big because you believe in the company, you value the company, that this company has value, then when it turns out positively, you see your returns. But most times we just head back because of the price when you look at the price. And yeah, recently I've been hearing a lot about price is not what matters. What really
Yes.
matters is the value you place on the company. If the company
Exactly.
has value,
Exactly.
then forget about the
Exactly.
price
Forget
because
about the price.
yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Topper said something. Berkshire Hathaway, the company of the popular investor Warren Buffett,
Mm.
one of their shares, it says for as far as I think more than 17,000 US dollar per share, and people still go for it. They see a
Exactly.
value in that stock. That's why they go for it. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So value matters trumps price. That's what I would say.
Exactly.
So having said that, now let's move to another aspect of investing when it comes to the stock market and to some extent crypto. Most people don't really know this, but from your post on Twitter that really caught our attention, you've been dollar cost averaging into stocks like Okomu Oil, Presco, and MTN. And these stocks, you just talk about price is not the problem, that you should look at value. These three stocks that I just mentioned now, they are quite on the high price. I think the cheapest there is
Yes.
MTN, which is over 400 naira right
About 400 there. Yeah.
now.
Yes.
And Okomu is close to 1000 as we speak.
1,300 or so.
Yeah. And
1,200 or so.
that's Presco. Okomu is
No,
about
Presco
950.
rather.
Yeah.
Sorry. Presco around 1,200. Okumu should be around 900 or
950.
so.
Yeah. 950. The last time
950.
I checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what drew you to these companies specifically?
Okay. You know, Presco. I've always been a fan of agriculture.
Okay.
Look at Nigeria on its own. You know that where we generate right from the 90s, agriculture has always been, the prime of Africa in Nigeria. But as things goes on, you see people start hyping crude oil, and we start, going away from the original, source of wealth for Africa. So I what makes me more interested in this company is that when you look at the way the prices of foods are going now, we have too much money chasing, limited supply of food. And at the same time, you are seeing the population increasing. The population, it is currently our population is about 237.5 million people in Nigeria. And it is
Okay.
projected to get to about 230 people. It's projected in 2030, it's projected to get to about 262.4 million people. So you see that the population will continue to increase. Do you understand? And there will continue to be an increase in price and demand for food. So, you see that there is, whenever you're looking at a company, you want to know the audience for this company because it determines the demand for it. What Presco and Okomu Oil is doing, the product that they are giving out there are product of necessity. It is something that you cannot do without. So it will continue to push the price upward. Do you understand? So people can't do without food. So that's where my conviction comes in. So before I first of all fall in love with the value, the vision of the company, before I now look into the financial statement. And when you look at the financial statement of this company, you see that they are doing extremely well. They are doing very well. So this is why I love Presco. This is why I love talking to, talking about Okomu oil, because these are the real oil. These are real oil, better than crude oil that people are just hyping up and down.
Right, it's better than crude oil. Crude oil will run out. Palm oil will not. That's something people should have at the back of their mind. Most countries that are oil rich, they tell you their
Mm,
reserve keeps dropping. So it means one day it's
yeah,
going to run out. But for
exactly. Yeah.
palm oil, it's not going to run out as long as we have land where we can cultivate them. It's still going to be there forever. So through your VH Hub, you help people stay financially fit and disciplined. So what is the most common mistake you see among new investors?
Okay. The common mistake I see. Okay, there are so many mistakes. First of all, but I will be highlighting some few of them that I see investors make. So one of the notable mistake I see among young investors are, most of them, as the name says, young investor. They come with small capitals. You're spreading your little capital so thin. I see some of them jumping into different, portfolio, different investment. You're investing in stock and you hear about bond. You want to include bond immediately. You're hearing about fixed savings. You want to put everything immediately in your portfolio. So what I believe is this. I believe that as a starter, you should learn to concentrate on the few. When you're starting out on investment, you should learn to concentrate on a few, stocks if you're trying out stocks. You concentrate on a few because it helps to increase your chances of managing it appropriately, and then you mitigate risk at the end of the day. And then as a new investor, you know that you still need more knowledge. You're still growing. You're getting to get used to this market. The first thing you have to do is to make sure that you start small and then you scale from there. That is how you build yourself. Then as you start small, you start with blue chip companies you know that even if there's a downtime, they can't drop so down. There is no much risk compared to other penny stock. You start with a blue chip company like Dangote and the rest of them. So starting with this company, you get a few of them. Then you try as much as possible to learn. You learn how dividend is paid. You learn how this stock responds to real life issues and so on. So before you start having confidence to increase your portfolio and the rest of them. So most investors, new investors, they don't care about these things. On Twitter, there was this person that posted on Twitter. He said that after seeing my tweets, he said he was just looking at his watch list. He had so many stock on his watch list, about 28. And this is a new investor. About 28 stocks on your watch list. Okay, so how do you manage these things? Like, how will you be able to manage, all this, the risk involved in it and all those things? So those are the mistakes I see with new investors. And then the also the lack of knowledge. Most of them go into this company without understanding the company, without understanding the fundamentals. They just pick up hot tips on Twitter. Maybe an influencer is talking about this talk and there is a hype around it. You see them, they just troop into it. Where can I buy it? Where can I buy it? So those are the mistakes I see young investors making. So the key is just to stay small, stay focused, and make sure you understand what you are investing in.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we always tell young investors. It is one of the reasons why we started this podcast in the first place. Myself and my colleague Aye. So because we belong to a group here, we see a lot of people, young investors, they
Okay.
just come in where with this the forum is for discussion of stocks and how the market is performing, where you see
Okay.
people, different people have their own different takes. But every now and then you see people coming in to interrupt. What stock can I buy?
Mm.
Where do you want me to go? Which
Yeah.
stock do you want me to buy now? Which stock do you want me to buy now? So we looked at it and we said there's a problem here. Even this forum is not solving this problem. So how do we solve this problem? So that's how we started this podcast in the first place. And one
Wow.
thing I
Wow.
noticed is that, yeah, one thing I noticed is that when the stock market is on a bull, when everything is green, people tend to come out on social media to lap their wins. They
Yes,
share their wins. So
exactly.
it's really gets to most of these new investors. They just rush in and buy. Yesterday, I
Yes,
was
the
speaking
FOMO
to a
is there.
friend. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
FOMO. Yeah, I was speaking to a friend yesterday who I've been talking to about the stock market for many years. But finally, he saw that the stock market is really doing well because he opened an account for the
Mm.
past 3 years, but he has not done anything. He's just monitoring everything. So all of a sudden, he just reached out to me about 2 weeks ago that he wants to get into the stock market and all that. I said, this is the wrong time for you to get into the stock market because everything is so green. Even stocks with no good fundamentals, they are all moving up.
Fundamentals, it just yes,
So
yes.
I told him that, but he didn't listen. Yesterday, I was speaking to him and he told me he bought some stocks, very few stocks, about 3 stocks. All the 3 stocks he bought, I just told him you bought junks because these companies, they have nothing, and you've invested a lot of money. Now you are likely to lose this money. Then that would be a very wrong experience, and you think, oh,
Experience.
so you've been telling me to
Ehen.
come into stocks, and what I've experienced now is not really nice, So that's
You know,
some things. Yeah,
yeah. They end up
so,
saying the stock market is a scam. I'm not going to come back again. You shouldn't tell
telling
me about it
you,
again.
yeah. So that's the issue.
So the question is like, you talk to a lot of, you talk a lot about letting assets pay for expenses, not salary, right? Which actually is a very, very wise approach, right? So can you explain how to apply that principle in your own life? How you apply that principle in your own life?
Okay, let me start by saying an asset is something that puts money into your pocket, and while a liability is something that takes away money out of your pocket. So now many people think that their salary is an asset. I've said this before. Your salary is not an asset, it's your capital, it's potential capital. So, but your salary is not your asset, it's a capital, and capital is what gives you the power to create assets. Do you understand? So, for example, when I receive my salary, I don't just rush to spend it. Instead, I invest it in productive assets like stocks, as we're talking now, like crypto, or even my personal business. So, for example, let's say I earn 100,000 naira, and instead of spending it all, I might just, invest 70,000 into buying stocks or growing my business. So, with time, that investment brings in profits. Maybe, let's say, it brings in 150,000 naira. So, it is now from this 150,000, that's the profits. It is from this proceed of investment that I now, take care of my expenses. So, this approach now helps me to grow my wealth over time and reduces the pressure of living from paycheck to paycheck. So, the key lesson in this is just so, you don't eat your capital, you use it to build assets that will keep feeding you over time. So, this is how I apply it in my life, not, spending your capital, but using your capital to create assets that you use to pay off your expenses.
Interesting. Actually, people wholly agree with that. It makes so much sense to rather have an asset that generates cash flow that you can use to meet your day-to-day expenses, right? I completely agree, right? When
Yes,
you
yes,
work for money, it then makes sense for money to work for you. Salary is basically you working for money, right? It's a huge
exactly,
opportunity to
exactly.
tap into, so completely agree with you. So what's one
Yeah.
book or habit or mindset that's transformed your financial journey?
Okay. What book? It's always Rich Dad Poor Dad. One book that truly changed, like I said earlier. One book that always changed my financial IQ was I started with Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book opened my eyes to the different types of income and helped me build a better financial plan. So there I learned, the end income, the portfolio income, the passive income. So for the end income, like we all know, this is, money you get from working a job or running a business. It includes your salary or wages. Then the portfolio income, this comes from investment like stocks, mutual funds, bond. It includes profits from interest and dividend. So, and then lastly, the passive income. So this one, the passive income, this is money that comes in with little effort, like rental income, royalty from music, and etc. So Robert Kiyosaki in the book teaches that true wealth is built in the quadrants, the cash flow quadrant, the I quadrant, which is the investor. I said earlier about the cash flow, the quadrant, the four quadrant, which is the self-employed, the employed, and then the business owner and the investor. So it is now in the I quadrant, which includes the passive income or portfolio income. That is where the money is being multiplied. That is where the rich people multiply their money because it has a lot of tax advantage, unlike the end income. So you want to build a business and create a lot of passive income or portfolio income to multiply your money. So that book really taught me how to, structure my finance in that way. So, and the other books I read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And okay, I also listened to Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys. So those guys really shaped the way I see finance and how to stay disciplined and see myself through in the investment journey.
Interesting. Interesting. I myself have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? It was a very, very good book. It really brought perspective into how to see, basically how to see how you're working for money, right? So I really enjoyed that
Yeah,
book, right? And The Richest Man of Babylon, right? Another very, very nice book that just can really help young investors to understand how to
yeah,
approach the market. So do you have any advice for young
exactly.
Nigerians starting with little capital today? Do you have any advice where they can begin?
Okay, my advice for young investor, those who are coming into investment newly, is to first of all learn to start with a few stocks. Whatever you want to go into, whatever, be it crypto, be it stocks, you should learn to start with a few. Don't just jump buying so many, or you want to get involved in every hot tip or hot stocks, trending stocks, and so on. So you learn to start with a few and you start small. It reduces the cost of your mistake. When you start small, the mistake you make, even if you make, because mistakes are inevitable. So when you start small, when you make these mistakes, they are minimal. But when you are starting out new and you go to start big, when you make a mistake, it will be too huge. And sometimes you might just run out of the business. So starting small helps you to find the system that works for you. Starting small helps you to understand the strategy that works for you. And another thing is that you make sure you have a personal conviction in the stock or assets you are purchasing. So this will carry you all through during the downtime where you have a strong conviction in what you're going into. It helps you to stay grounded even when the stocks are, going sideways.
Yeah, so Prince Evans, thank you so much for sharing your story, your strategies, and your art with us today. Your message about discipline, open mindedness, and investing for the future really resonates with what we stand for here at the Nigerian Investor Podcast. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow Prince Evans on Twitter at VOB Official and check out his platform, VOB, for more inspiration. Until next time, stay consistent, stay curious, and stay invested. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to another episode of the favorite podcast that brings insight to the Nigerian stock market. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get more episodes like this, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, as well as on our website. All this information is available in the show note below this episode. Until we bring you another episode your way next week. Bye for now. TNI podcast is executive produced by Moody. This episode was edited by Rona at Raw Quarry Village Studio.